Thank you. Yes, we're good. Thank you, Norma.
So today is the Mario show. Now arriving at gate 2, Commission Chair Bao Nguyen.
Do you want it not to? It's from that camera.
We normally share those on
Will it share the screen?
Yeah, it does both. And then this is somebody's.
As long as it shares the screen, we're doing the things. We're good.
It's not sharing the screen right now.
Yeah, yeah. They flew them in from Florida. Missouri is on.
Oh, can you make me a photo, please? Look how sharp that is. No, they're not falling.
Missouri.
Commissioner Ramos will be there. She's. Yes.
Gases. That's a top this one. It'll be like 4 times and
Well, I'll be single men this evening, but I mean. I just see them outside. Getting some, you know.
Yes. We should.
That's the new camera. Okay.
That's going to capture.
Is that good?
Is there going to be someone else?
No, that's it.
Very good.
I had the last one. Busy now. With the foundation stuff and everything.
Yeah. Big challenge.
I need to talk to you. I need a pipeline of students to go to Irvine Valley College for the for this interactive media.
Yeah.
In 2 years or less, they could get a job at $100,000.
Okay.
That's a connection with DreamWorks and that kind of thing. And first, it's a whole lot better than the class at USC.
Yeah, here. This kind of accent. When I was being started. And.
Madam Secretary, please start the meeting.
Chair, meeting is now being recorded.
Thank you. I would like to call to the regular meeting. I would like to call the regular meeting of November 14th, 2022 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will the Secretary please call roll?
Commissioner Alderetti, Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Morrissey, Commissioner Ramos,
Present.
Commissioner Wu,
Here.
Vice Chair Calderon, Chair Pham.
Here.
Chair quorum has been reached at 5:37 PM with Commissioner Ramos attending virtually.
Thank you. Before we begin, I would like to remind my fellow commissioners to turn your microphone on when speaking and off when not speaking. And when speaking, please place the microphone about 4 inches away from you. Thank you. Members of the public may attend the Planning Commission meetings in person or virtually via Zoom. I now invite the Commission Secretary to describe the way the public can access and participate in this meeting.
This meeting is being live streamed via our portal, www.santa-ana.primegov.com/public/portal, and to YouTube, www.youtube.com/City of Santa Ana videos. If you would like to provide a public comment, you may do so in the following ways. Joining the meeting via Zoom. Enter meeting ID 851-923-99447. When the item you would like to comment on is being discussed, select the hand icon to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the name you entered. You can also join the meeting by calling 669-900-68 933. Enter meeting ID 851-923-99447. When the item you would like to comment on is being discussed, press *9 to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the last 3 digits of your phone number. After you are called upon, you may press *6 to unmute yourself. For those who are attending this meeting in person and would like to provide public comment, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. All speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I will alert you when your time is up.
Moving on to public comments on non-agenda items. Madam Secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on non-agenda items, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on non-agenda items, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on non-agenda items, please dial *9 and then *6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve item A, minutes from October 10th?
I move that we approve the October 10th meeting of the Planning Commission.
Second.
We'll also include excused absences. Item B, excused absences.
Yes.
All three were excused, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
We'll include it.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wu and a second from Commissioner McLaughlin. Please call roll.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Chair Fan.
Aye.
Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner members Already, Commissioner Morrissey, and Vice Chair Calderon absent.
That concludes the consent calendar. Moving on to the business calendar. I will now review the process for the public hearing so that everyone knows what to expect. Staff will provide a presentation and answer questions from the commission. The public hearing will then be open. The applicant will be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public will be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. The public hearing will then be closed. Discussion will return to the commission with formal action taken to approve, conditionally approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. Please state your name and address, which is voluntary. State whether you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. Your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Avoid gossip, emotion, and repetition. A clear and concise and non-repetitive argument is most effective. This is the time and place for public hearing on item number 1, conditional use permit 2022-16 located at 1017 South Fairview Street. Please note, decision on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 calendar days by any interested individual or party. Pedro Gomez will now provide a brief presentation.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening to the Planning Commission. The first item on tonight's agenda is a request to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption or a type 41 beer and wine at a new eating establishment located at 1017 South Fairview Street. The property is located north of the Fairview and McFadden Avenue intersection on the east side of Fairview. The property has a general plan designation of general commercial and a zoning designation of C4 or planned shopping center. It's surrounded by multifamily residential to the north, south, and east, surrounded by single-family residential to the west, and surrounded by commercial to the south. Here we have a site photo of the proposed location. So it's going to occupy 2 existing addresses, 1017 and 1019. So when the tenant improvements are done, this will all be 1017 South McFadden. The new eating establishment will occupy a 2,600 square foot tenant space within an existing multi-tenant building. The restaurant will undergo interior tenant improvements, resulting in a modified kitchen, dining, and preparation area. Site improvements will also be completed and include construction of a trash enclosure, installation of landscaping, restriping, resurfacing of the parking lot. Once completed, the restaurant will accommodate approximately 37 patrons within the dining area and operate Monday through Sunday from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Alcoholic beverages will be stored in a designated alcohol storage closet behind the kitchen area. The restaurant will have an overall alcohol storage area of 19 square feet, which is less than the 5% of the gross floor area of the tenant space as required by the Santa Ana Municipal Code. At this time, live entertainment is not proposed. Should the applicant seek to provide on-site entertainment, approval of a separate entertainment permit will be required. Here we have a photo of the site plan. As you can see, the proposed eating establishment is going to occupy 2 spaces. Again, 1017 South Fairview and 1019 South Fairview. So once completed, this entire site will be addressed as 1017. Here we have the proposed floor plan. You can see the areas highlighted in red. The larger area would be the area of storage for the alcohol. And then the smaller areas would be the areas of display. So we have sit-down area, kitchen area, prep area, restrooms, and then back of house with storage, cold storage, typical of a restaurant. In analyzing the project, staff determined that the proposed establishment meets the Santa Ana Municipal Code qualifications and state qualifications to be considered an eating establishment for a Type 41 ABC license. The storage and display of alcoholic beverages will make up less than the 5% of the total gross floor area as required by the Santa Ana Municipal Code. And the police department is satisfied that the operational standards applicable to the on-premise ABC license will mitigate any potential impacts to the community and does not oppose to the granting of the CUP. Lastly, the conditions of approval, property maintenance agreement, and standards in the Santa Ana Municipal Code will address any potential negative impacts. Pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, the project is categorically exempt or class 1 for existing facilities. Environmental review number 2022-91 will be filed for the project. There is no fiscal impacts associated with the project. And then that concludes staff's presentation. We are recommending that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution approving conditional use permit number 2022-16 as conditioned. I do want to note that the project applicant and project consultant are here if there's any questions directed towards them.
Thank you, Pedro. Does the commission have any question for staff?
What type of food would they be serving? And the primary business is restaurant, right?
Correct. The primary business is a restaurant. The sale of alcohol will be ancillary. It's a pizzeria restaurant.
Oh, pizzeria.
Pizzeria restaurant. The applicant is here, so there may be an expanded menu to include other foods as well, but it sounds like the primary eating establishment will be a pizzeria.
One more question.
And
Commissioner?
there's no school nearby, and et cetera, et cetera.
Correct.
Commissioner McLaughlin, do you have any question?
Fairview and what did I say? McFadden.
Good. Commissioner Ramos, do you have any question for staff?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. No question for myself as well. Have we received any written communication?
We have not.
Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter?
My applicant, Beatrice Lozada. Right there? Got it? Okay. Okay. A little nervous here, but just want to say good evening, Commissioner and Chairpersons. My applicant, he is an existing, he has 2 existing businesses at the site where he's at, so he's going to be on site, making sure all activities are, following compliance with the ABC rules and the CUP. So it's his first time being with the restaurant owner, but he's excited to bring the restaurant into your city and just wants to be able to partner and hopefully make a better, at that site, a better neighborhood, because it's kind of, it was abandoned. So he just wants to bring it up so that everyone, can enjoy pizza with the beer And, for everybody to come down if they wants to come see him. I don't think he's gonna have a problem on the site.
Thank you. Does the commissioners have any question for the applicant? Commissioner Wu? Commissioner McLaughlin?
Commissioner McLaughlin, can you turn on your microphone, please?
Turn your mic.
All right. Okay. Is this located where there's right now a donut shop in front of it? Okay,
Yes,
that's what I thought.
yes.
All right. Interesting is, I think it's like maybe 3 blocks down is a pizzeria.
It's a little over 3 blocks down. It's to the,
So it's by Enger,
yeah,
by Enger.
it's just a little over, because I saw that, but,
Okay. All right. Thanks.
okay. Thank you.
You mentioned that the owner has managed other properties on this
He
site.
he actually has like a mobile service, and he has a Mexican market kind of with no alcohol beverages, but it's a Mexican, it's a real nice one. It's right there on the site. So he goes back and forth, and he wanted to venture because he thought a new addition to the restaurant would be nice. So he wanted to impact that. I
Thank
think
you.
it's a good idea too.
Commissioner Ramos, do you have any question for the applicant?
Just one, and I apologize if I missed this, but does the applicant have experience running or experience with an ABC license?
No, he doesn't have experience. This will be his first time. But I'm former ABC 30 years, and all my clients, I go through them with the ABC laws and policies and help them with their policies and procedures intact with their businesses, so that they can run become good licensees, so that they don't have problems with the law or ABC rules and regulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the hours of operation?
11.
10 a.m. through 11 p.m.
1 PM,
11 p.m.
11 PM, okay, so there's no after hours.
Correct.
Thank you. We'll now take comments from the public. Do we have any members of the public that would like to comment?
If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial *9 and press *6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
I move that we approve staff recommendation to approve the CUPC 2022-16 as conditioned.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Wu and a second from Commissioner McLaughlin. Please call roll.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Chair Pham.
Aye.
Motion approved by majority vote with Commission Member Aldereti, Commissioner Morrissey, and Vice Chair Calderon absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, this is the time and place for public hearing on item number 2, conditional use permit number 2022-15, located at 2929 South Holiday Street. Please note, decisions on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 calendar days by any interested individual or party. Before we begin, do any of the commissioners have anything they wish to disclose with regard to this item? No disclosure. Pedro Gomez will now provide a brief presentation.
Thank you again, Chair. Next item is a request for approval of a conditional use permit to renew the entitlements of an existing 60-foot tall major wireless monopine. located at 2929 South Halliday Street. Please note that the item was continued from the September 26th Planning Commission meeting. The item was continued after the applicant requested additional time to address the conditions of approval of the previously approved conditional use permit. All conditions of approval have been updated and attached to the accompanying resolution for the project for tonight. The project site is located south of the intersection of East Dyer Road and South Halliday Street along the east end of Halliday Street. The site is zoned light industrial and has a general plan designation of industrial, and it's surrounded by industrial uses in all directions. Here we have an existing site photo of the existing monopine structure. On April 6, 2009, the Planning Commission approved CUP number 2009-1, allowing construction of the subject monopine ground equipment, fence, and landscaping. Pursuant to the Santa Ana Municipal Code, a CUP is required for all major wireless communication facilities in the city. Furthermore, this Santa Ana Municipal Code requires that they be approved for a period of not more than 10 years or not to exceed 10 years. As the current entitlements have reached the 10-year lifespan, the applicant is required to apply for a new conditional use permit in order to maintain the entitlements for the facility. On this site, we have the existing plan for the monopine and for the equipment. You can see that it's located just kind of north of the subject site in this enclosure area. In analyzing the request, staff determined that the existing facility provides benefits to Santa Ana residents, businesses, and motorists who subscribe to the mobile phone services provided and the data capacity in the area. The location is optimal to provide the coverage necessary for the existing and expanding services. The facility would not adversely affect the general plan, as cellular facilities that are designed to be compatible with the surrounding environment are consistent with the goals and objectives of the city's land use element. Moreover, as part of the development review of the project, staff worked closely with the applicant to identify improvements to enhance the overall appearance of the site. The improvements include replacements of deteriorating or faded stealth branches, refreshing antenna socks as needed. In addition, a condition of approval has been placed to ensure that the applicant install a wrought iron fence and additional landscaping along that fence, thereby reverting to the design approved by the original entitlements in 2009. Pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act and the CEQA guidelines, the project is exempt from further review pursuant to section 15301. Based on the analysis, a notice of exemption will be filed for the project. There is no fiscal impact associated with the project. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution approving conditional use permit 2022-15 as conditioned. We do have the project applicant here in attendance if there's any questions that would like to be directed to him. That concludes staff's presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Pedro. Does the commissioners have any questions for staff? Commissioner Wu? Commissioner McLaughlin?
No.
Commissioner Ramos?
No questions. Thank you.
No questions for myself as well. Madam Secretary, have we received any written communication?
We have not received written communication.
Thank you. Public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter?
Good evening, commissioners. I'm Alexander Liu with Crown Castle. I'm here representing, Crown Castle. Thanks very much for this opportunity to renew the conditional use permit for this facility. It's very important for our clients to maintain, seamless coverage within your city. Reviewed the conditions of approval, find them to be acceptable, appreciate the opportunity to continue the hearing from last month. And with that, I'm really here to just answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there any question for the applicant?
No question.
Commissioner Ramos?
No questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now take comments from the public. Do we have any members of the public that would like to comment?
If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial *9 and press *6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
The public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve conditional unit permit number 2022-15 as conditioned.
I second that.
A motion by Commissioner McLaughlin and a second by Commissioner Wu. Please, call roll.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Chair Pham.
Aye.
Motion approved by majority with Commissioner Aldereti, Commissioner Morrissey, and Vice Chair Calderon absent.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Item number 2 are proposed amendments to the San Municipal Code relating to outdoor dining as well as mobile food trucks on the private property. With that being said, staff is recommending that the Plan Commission recommend to the City Council approval of these ordinances, one of them being zoning ordinance amendment number 2022-04 relating to outdoor dining, and the second one being zoning code amendment number 2022-05 relating to mobile food trucks. Moving forward, just gonna go ahead and give a bit of background in terms of the reason why we're here today and the proposed amendments.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to give a quick background on the catalyst for this code amendment. Beginning in March of 2017 with the declaration by the governor of state emergency, the city had to look at how and in what way we can assist local businesses to continue to be able to operate, but in a safe manner and in compliance with the state requirements. I'm proud to say that, I and as part of this team work very diligently with our staff from other department. Within 2 months of the declaration of emergency by the governor, we were able to develop a guidance for a safer economy to help business operate outdoors for retail, restaurant, and businesses. And we were also able to develop guidance for ourselves on how we can keep our businesses going. So as a result of that, I'm proud to say that we were closed down for 2 months, beginning in March, and were able to reopen our doors and continue to provide services to the public. As part of the process and as part of the Take It Outside guidance, we're able to learn some of the different perspective on how we can do business differently. And through COVID, many of these practices, we have learned that not only are something that was necessary, but actually is meeting some of, the more the different ways that people would like to be able to do business, conduct business, but also shop, eat, and play. As a result of that and learn through that learning process, the council has asked us to come back with a permanent set of regulations that would allow for outdoor dining to occur, potentially mobile food vending to occur as well. What you see in downtown in terms of the parklets and the outdoor dining area will continue to be in play and will continue to be a part of the downtown environment. However, the set of regulations that you see here are geared toward private properties outside of downtown. And through that share experience with the community, we're able to, and our staff able to develop these regulations and is therefore presenting this before you tonight. Our goal is for your recommendation to the City Council for us to adopt these regulations so that they can be put in place permanently for the various businesses that would desire to have outdoor activities as on an ongoing basis. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
I'll just go ahead and add a bit more to the background with regards to outdoor dining. I think it's important to be aware that the county of Orange County did grant the city a $500,000 grant to be utilized for the construction of outdoor patios within 17th Street and 1st Street. So with those funds, the city was able to construct 22 outdoor patio areas. So now I'm just going to go ahead and play a quick video capturing these different outdoor patios that were approved through that grant that was awarded by the county. And so as indicated, as part of that grant, the city did hire a vendor to prepare and construct 22 outdoor patios, as mentioned along First Street and 17th Street. The image to the left is pretty much a standard floor plan that was approved through that effort. And these outdoor patio areas range anywhere from 250 square feet to the largest about 650 square feet. And then to the right, you have a rendering of the product type that were approved. And I'm sure commissioners and chairman, you've seen these throughout the city. So as Min indicated, the proposed amendments with regards to outdoor dining kind of are aligned and they build upon the take it outside regulations that were established through the executive orders. Staff is proposing various amendments to the Santa Ana Municipal Code in order to allow additional opportunities for businesses to expand outdoor dining options citywide. So I'm just going to go through some of the major comments or some of the major requirements, and I'll be free to answer any additional questions. But we are requesting an application and permit, which is pretty much standard for any type of new development in the city. Outdoor dinings are going to be only allowed as an ancillary use to an eating establishment, restaurants, or cafe. The second kind of topic with regards to the ordinance are the placement, development, design standards of these outdoor dining areas. And again, they kind of build upon the existing guidelines that the city already had established. One of the components that's being introduced as part of this code amendment is to allow the opportunity for these outdoor dining areas to encroach into the required front yard as well as the street side yard setback. For example, El Rincon Chalingo on 17th Street is a good example of this, where they utilize their front yard area to basically display and utilize that area as outdoor dining. So as part of those guidelines, we've kind of also learned best practices, and we also did various research. So a new component is requiring a 5-foot landscape buffer between the edge of the outdoor dining area to any property lines, as well as a 3-foot landscape buffer between parking aisles and as well as parking spaces. Another requirement would be that the outdoor dining area needs to be compatible with the construction materials of the primary building. And we're also looking for durable construction materials. In addition, we're all proposing through the executive director's ability to further mitigate some potential impacts to sensitive uses such as noise, and through the requirement of additional measures such as building a buffer sound wall. So now moving on to the operational standards. These standards capture more of like your typical operational standards, so noise requirements, proper maintenance for the outdoor dining area, as well as the development side. Hours of operation to be consistent with the eating establishment. And if these eating establishments do serve alcohol, they also need to be in compliance with the conditional use permit of the actual eating establishment. Moving on to kind of like a bigger requirements, parking. So currently, the Santa Ana Municipal Code does have certain exemptions when it comes to outdoor dining. So right now, if an outdoor dining is less than 25% of the eating establishment or 1,000 square feet or less, they are not subject to require additional parking. So that current standard is going to still maintain in place. What we are proposing to include is to allow establishments an outdoor dining area of up to 500 square feet to also be exempt from parking for establishments that are less than 2,500 square feet. Then the last additional parking requirement is anything over these thresholds will be required to provide parking spaces at a rate of 1 parking space per 250 square feet of outdoor dining area. In addition to that, we are adding some additional exemptions that could benefit some of these outdoor dining areas. One of them being allowing businesses to convert existing required parking spaces for an outdoor dining area for up to a total of 3 parking spaces for a site that is an integrated development site, so a shopping center or strip center. In addition to that, anything that the standalone eating establishment will be allowed to convert up to 25% of the required parking spaces into an outdoor dining area. Now, more or less, I'm just going to go through like different scenarios, assuming eating establishments comply with other development standards. There's various factors that play into this. So these are just kind of a bigger overview of what could potentially be built. So option A would be, for example, an eating establishment taking advantage of an existing landscape area or walkway area. This option would not impact any on-site parking or would not encroach into any required side yard or front yard setbacks. Option 2 would be allowing an eating establishment to encroach into the required setbacks. So I mentioned El Rincon, Chilingo off of 17th Street is a good example of this. They kind of utilize their front yard area for outdoor dining. Another example of this is blanking out the name, the restaurant 17 and Flower. They also took advantage of their front yard area to allow for outdoor dining opportunity there. And then the last example would be basically converting current parking spaces into an outdoor dining. So again, that would be a maximum of 3 current parking spaces. Now moving on to the mobile food truck requirements. They will be allowed only as an ancillary use, or actually they will be allowed in any zone that allows eating establishments, which will be mixed use zones, professional zones, commercial zones, and industrial zones. The city is proposing to allow only 1 mobile food truck per 10,000 square feet of lot area for a maximum of a total of 3 mobile food trucks per lot. So similar to the outdoor dining requirements, we also are placing property and location requirements to where mobile food trucks can be located. So one of them being they have to be located adjacent to a major arterial street as defined as through the mobility element of the general plan. So arterial streets are your major thoroughfares like Bristow, 17th Street, First Street, Grand, Edinger, McFadden, etc. The mobile food truck in which it's going to be located, the property will have to comply with all applicable development standards. There is a section with regards to non-conforming properties. We are allowing mobile food trucks to operate off of a non-conforming site. However, they will have to comply with certain development enhancements to the site. For example, landscaping, signage, parking, restriping, and resurfacing. The mobile food trucks are not going to be allowed within standalone parking lots or undeveloped lots, as well as gas stations. In addition to that, they would not be able to locate within 200 feet of a site that currently contains an eating establishment if the hours of operations are consistent with that eating establishment. If they're not consistent, then they are going to be allowed to be within that area. And same thing, not allowed within the site that contains an eating establishment unless the hours are different. and as well as approved by the property owner. So similar to the outdoor dining, there are some additional operational standards that will be applicable to mobile food trucks as well. Will not be allowed to operate before 6 p.m. or after 2 a.m. if located within 200 feet of a property zoned or used for residential purposes. Mobile food trucks would not be able to operate after 10 p.m. on Sundays through Thursdays and would not be operated after 11:59 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Again, not allowed within properties that are zoned or used for residential purposes. The city is requesting that a unisex restroom be provided to all employees and customers within 500 feet of the mobile food truck. In addition, mobile food trucks will be allowed to have a seating area of up to 350 square feet. The use of generators are going to be strictly prohibited, would not be allowed. Mobile food trucks are going to have to be directly connected to an electrical source on the site. So again, as I did as the outdoor dining examples, these are just examples of what could happen depending that the mobile food truck as well as the development site complies with the other requirements. So option A would be basically a mobile food truck operating on existing parking spaces. These are additional parking spaces. So assuming that a development site currently has capacity in terms of the number of required parking spaces, they will be able to use surplus parking spaces. So as indicated as option 1, again, they will be able to have a seating area of up to 350 square feet, as well as the requirement of having a restroom. This is an example of roughly about 20,000 square foot lot. So again, you're only allowed to have one mobile food truck per 10,000 square feet of lot size. In this example, you'll be able to have 2, but again, the total of 3 maximum is basically the limit. And then option 2, again, similar kind of concept. In this case, the mobile food trucks are kind of parked along a drive aisle with the seating area encroaching into a existing walkway area. And again, a restroom is required to be within 50 feet of the proposed mobile food trucks. And then these are just examples from other cities. So as part of our research, we did various research on other cities, such as city of Portland, Seattle, and Austin. So these are just images to try to illustrate like the synergy that these mobile food trucks could basically establish in the city. So in addition to the operational standards, as well as the development standards, there are application requirements that kind of didn't get into for the discussion of this presentation. In addition to that, there is a revocation and modification process in case any of the mobile food trucks as well as the outdoor dining areas do become a nuisance. The ordinance's language as proposed does give the city the ability to be able to enforce, and if needed, to basically vacate the mobile food trucks from the premises as well as the outdoor dining areas. So as proposed, the amendments will continue efforts to establish high quality development standards to protect the health, safety, and the welfare of the community. In addition, the proposed amendments are consistent with the goals and policies of their general plan. For example, policy 2.6 of the economic prosperity element does support and encourage small business development, incubators, and micro enterprises through startup assistance and identification of fiscal resources for entrepreneurship. In addition, policy 2.7 of the land use element also encourages the support of land use decisions that encourage the creation, development, and retention of businesses in the city of Santa Ana. And lastly, policy 4.1 of the land use element also encourages the promotion of complete neighborhoods by encouraging a mix of complementary uses, community services, and people places within a walkable area. In terms of the California Environmental Quality Act, the proposed amendments have been determined to be exempt pursuant to section 15061B3. With that, the city does intend to file a notice of exemptions with the county if these code amendments are approved by council. And as proposed, there are no fiscal impacts associated with these ordinances. With that, staff is recommending that the Plan Commission recommend that the City Council adopt an ordinance approving zoning ordinance amendment number 2022-04 relating to permit requirements and placement, development, and operational standards for outdoor dining areas and private properties, and recommend that the city council adopt an ordinance approving zoning ordinance amendment number 2022-05 relating to permit requirements and operational standards for mobile food trucks on private property. That concludes staff presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jerry. Does the commission have any question for staff?
Yes,
Commissioner.
these apply to businesses that has as their primary business, food restaurant, right?
That is correct. So
Okay.
eating establishments, restaurants, and cafes.
And it's broken up into two areas, those that are fixed restaurants, building, and all that, and mobile, right?
That is correct.
It does not apply to outside food vendors that set up a barbecue and smoke all over the place on the sidewalk.
No, so these ordinances are strictly for private property. They do not cover any vendors on the sidewalk or on the public right.
And does that cover other something else?
Any mobile food truck within the public right
Not
of
a
way.
mobile food truck, just table, chairs and a barbecue.
For sidewalk vendors,
Yeah.
I believe we are currently in the process of actually drafting an ordinance that would
Okay.
regulate those type of operations.
Then I don't need to know any more other than you're working, unless you want to chime in, Executive Director. I just want to make clear what it is that we're approving. Okay. Also, you seem to be establishing some standards so that it could be consistent and to make them look attractive to the neighborhood and other businesses. Now, if you were to set up a taco truck next to a Mexican restaurant, within, say, from here to the door, you would be in violation of this ordinance, wouldn't you? If you were the food truck vendor.
If it's located within the same site, it would have to have deviating hours, so you cannot operate at the same time that food, that
The street
taco
is here,
stand.
the restaurant's by the end of the road there. If that walking distance between the food truck and that, you would be in violation, right? Who monitors that? And who code enforces that?
So as part of the application process for these ordinances, the planning division, or planning and building agency will monitor that.
Right.
So as part of the analysis for these applications, that's something we will be looking at.
And the way I'm answering the question, hope you don't get the impression I'm trying for I caught you. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to really understand the standard because you guys are being careful to establish that. But I'm concerned about the application of that, the implementation, and how do you enforce it on the side. So if I apply for one thing, but I do another, that's what I was kind of looking at. But I'm hoping that what you're trying to do is with the regulation process through the application is get them to all think about like the picture we saw in Austin of the little park-like benches and all that, to put a little more into it. I think that's also what's in the standard, right? For bathrooms and all these other things.
That is correct. We're still in the process of developing the application and such requirements, but that is something we're definitely going to take into consideration.
I understand that under CEQA, there's a bunch of changes and there's going to be a conference in San Francisco soon. So I don't know how this affects this. Now, food trucks are different from things. You could be a sushi food truck where you may not have a lot of restaurant smoke and air. If you're a barbecue, you may, because you have a barbecue outside of that to serve, right? If you're a hamburger, you got oil and, that is being vented in the air. According to the report, you're saying it does not violate CEQA, and I'm having trouble understanding, do you, or how does, because you require more filter in terms of restaurants, right? To have a fan, and I don't know what other filters they have, so.
It's all mobile food trucks will have to comply with the county's requirements, and one of those requirements, they do look into the emissions of these mobile food trucks. So they're the regulatory agency that will permit the actual food trucks. We're the ones that will be overseeing with regards to like the placements in their
So there's a
operations.
county jurisdiction, health department.
Correct. The health
Okay.
department from the county will have to approve it, correct?
Okay, thank you. Again, I was asking these questions for clarity, not to have a catch. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Commissioner McLaughlin, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple here. First of all, I think Alan touched on it, and that is that we've covered the mobile, we've covered the outdoor eating in the parking lot. But we're leaving out the one thing that's starting to become more and more of a challenge, and that's the outdoor pop-ups that are happening. And I guess my question, first of all, if I was looking at it from an executive perspective, I want to know all of the options, and I want to know how you're handling those options. But we're not. We're leaving that one out because, go ahead, man, hit it.
I believe what you're referring to, the pop-ups are the stands that are either on the sidewalk or within private property or somewhere in between. Those are not permitted when they're conducted on private properties without a land use certificate. We don't issue land use certificate for ongoing situation. So we do enforce when those pop-up occur on private properties. Within the public right of way, we are currently addressing the sidewalk vending with the county on health permit issue. I don't want to go in too much on this issue because it's not something that's agendized tonight, but understanding that we are looking at potential regulations on how to address those type of pop-ups based on what's currently allowed by the state regulations under the current bills that's permitted since 2018 for some of these sidewalk vending and food pop-ups.
Well, my challenge on that one is that, we sit here as a commission and we hear people come in, like we heard tonight, with a restaurant that they're putting in on Fairview. And they're going to do a fair amount of investment in order to remodel the whole thing. And yet down the street from there can be 2 or 3 or 4 pop-ups.
Or just in front of them. I think
Or
your
in
point
front
is well
of them. It
taken.
could be
Yeah.
in front of them too. I mean,
So for those that does not have a county health permit, the city code enforcement division has been going out with the county, closing down those businesses without health permit and not operating in accordance with state law.
okay. The other thing is that I think there was the one restriction that for every 10,000 square feet, you couldn't have another food truck. I would take a venture down Fairview towards Mater Dei. And the parking lot that Mater Dei used to occupy is probably 3 to 4 trucks. And I don't see any Portable John hanging around the parking lot either. So, I mean, I'm assuming that this would kick that process down the street a little bit.
So as we mentioned that the measures that were done throughout the city were done as part of the executive order under the COVID emergency order. Since then, as we discussed, we have learned some best practices, and the ordinance that's being proposed has new requirements that are part of that learning process and that those best practices for public health safety concerns.
Okay.
Just to add to that example,
Ed.
Commissioner McLaughlin, that particular property is city owned. So we did add a section to the proposed ordinance that basically will give the city manager the authority to also require such mobile food trucks operating on city owned properties to also be subject to this proposed ordinance.
Okay, I mean, and I remember that too, as it being city too, from that standpoint. It does? Hidden from my viewpoint, coming down the road. Okay, I'll believe you, Alvaro. This one time, though. Okay, there's one other item I had. I'll think of it. I gotta ponder it a little bit because Alvaro got me all confused.
Commissioner Ramos, do you have any question for Jerry?
Thank you. Yes, I also have a few questions. I'm wondering if there was a survey of food trucks done as part of the research for this item?
We did conduct a survey. Unfortunately, the way that our business license is currently formatted, we cannot really distinguish between those are operating on private property versus those operating on the public realm. But we have a total of 202 mobile food trucks currently operating in the city.
And did you get those numbers by looking at business licenses or by going out into, I guess what you could call the field and seeing what was visibly there?
Both measures. We did take data from the business license as well as field surveys.
Okay, and based off that research that was done, do you have I guess, can you say to what extent the businesses, food truck businesses might be affected by this ordinance, either in a good or bad way?
So we currently don't allow mobile food trucks to operate on private property. As indicated, the ones we did analyze, about 202, out of those, there was roughly about 50 that were operating on private property, but on a semi basis during like lunch hours. So again, we don't have that exact number.
Okay, and were there any food truck business owners that were contacted for their input? Or was their input taken in any way as this ordinance was developed?
The ordinances were developed in conjunction with the current outdoor dining. The guidelines that take it outside, and guidelines that were drafted as part of the executive order. Those guidelines were drafted in conjunction with feedback from the business community.
Was that the local business community here in Santa Ana?
Correct. That was something that our community development agency conducted.
Outside of the downtown area?
Correct.
Okay, so I asked these questions because a few years ago, the city council was considering another ordinance different from this that would affect mobile food trucks. And at the time, it became very clear that those food trucks are organized. So those food trucks are organized and it wouldn't be that difficult to convene them. And I know back then they were very vocal with the city council and members of the council met with them. So I think looking back, what I saw was that a lesson learned was that maybe the city should have convened with them earlier. And I'm just a little concerned that based off what I'm hearing, it doesn't seem like there was any convening with them to collect their feedback. So they are also members of our community. Many of them are operating with licenses and are paying fees. And I know that the city really values taking in community feedback. And I would like to see that type of feedback provided with this ordinance as well. So that's a concern I have as of now. And I also heard you say that part of that research was looking at other cities with strong food truck presences such as Austin, Portland, and Seattle. So in those other cities, did they have similar guidelines around when these food trucks can be operating, specifically their hours based off the proximity to other businesses?
Commissioner, I want to share with you that in the development of the Take It Outside guidance on mobile vending, that was developed with the Mobile Food Vending Association and discussed with our staff. So I want to make sure that you understand that this was discussed with the mobile vendors as part of the development process for how to work with these businesses on private properties for mobile vending vehicles.
Thank you for that clarification. I'm glad to hear that. And I would also like to see restate the name incorrectly, the Mobile Vending Food Association. I would also like to see them providing input on the ordinance that we're considering today. I know that a lot of it was taken from guidelines that they helped develop, but I think it would be great to also hear their thoughts on what we're seeing now, what we're being presented with now.
This is a result of that process.
Were they made aware that this was coming to the Planning Commission today?
The answer is yes, affirmative.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ramos. Commissioner McLaughlin didn't.
Sorry, Chair, there was a question that went unanswered regarding hours and how they compare to other cities?
Barry, would like to answer that?
Yeah, Commissioner, the hours are pretty standard to other cities as well as cities in California. The hours we're proposing are kind of in the middle. There are some other jurisdictions that are a lot more stricter with requiring a conditional use permit for such uses. And then the hours of operation are then determined by the planning commission or city council. So we did land in an area where we feel are giving these mobile food truck vendors the opportunity to basically thrive in the city of Santa Ana.
Thank you. That's all for now.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner McLaughlin?
Yeah, I went back, I wanted to go back and ask the question. I didn't see it come up in the presentation, but my understanding was before the pandemic, if you had a ABC license, you could only use that inside the restaurant itself. You couldn't use it outside. Has that rule changed?
With the proposed ordinance, that rule is proposed to change in the way that it would, if a business has a conditional use permit, they would be permitted to also carry that activities outdoor. But we also have the ability to ensure that if they are not operating in accordance with the conditions that they have of their CUP, we can require going through a public hearing process, at which point additional condition can be imposed. So it's a hybrid process that we're proposing.
So we're proposing that, but that's not where the ABC is today?
ABC will follow the guidance of the city. If we allow it outside and we consent to the outdoor activities, ABC will grant them. They do have to modify their application with ABC.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be something.
During COVID, they did not. There was a exemption, and I believe that exemption may still exist to the end of this year. But with our process on an ongoing basis, if ABC checks in with the city and requests that information, we will provide it with the notification for them to let them know that outdoor dining and service would be permissible with individual businesses.
Okay, and the other thing, I mean, I've noticed, at least going through different cities, I was just up in Fullerton not too long ago, and Fullerton, which has a boatload of restaurants at Harbor and Commonwealth, quite a few of the outdoor eating areas were gone. They had taken them out. And I just wonder, I mean, how many do we think we have at this point in time in the city?
In terms of the number of the ones that we propose and we've facilitated, there are over 22 of them. In downtown, you have a number of parklets and also a number of dining opportunities. What we have found is that there are also businesses that are existing that desire to have some outdoor dining. This would provide that opportunity for businesses to do that. Where there are existing opportunities, this ordinance, what it does is that provide for some flexibility in terms of parking, but it also provide for a standard of design and expectation of how the outdoor dining is to be conducted.
But technically speaking, you're not requiring increase in parking, given that you comply with certain guidelines.
Correct. There's some
So,
exemptions.
I mean, that's a kind of Mox Nix.
I'm sorry?
It's Mox Nix. It means it doesn't make any difference.
Well, what it does is that it allows a small business to have an outdoor dining opportunity without having the minimum parking requirement. But it also allows for, if there is an opportunity on site outside of the parking area, that up to 3 parking spaces can be converted without impacting or without requiring.
But those are on the property themselves. Those are on the properties themselves.
Correct. It's on the property.
Yeah, because I mean, I look at like 4th Street Grill, and it's been there for years, and they have the outdoor dining, but it's all public parking. Doesn't hurt. Okay. Got my answer.
Any more questions, Commissioner?
Oh, I'm good for now.
All right, thank you.
I have another question.
Commissioner Wu?
Is that all right? This was a response to the COVID response that now you are institutionalizing, right? Yeah, great, thank you. I'm kind of thinking here, which is unrelated to this, but currently we have a high inflation rate and food prices are, astronomical. And I wonder if the economics of restaurants in our city is also suffering as a result of that, because we're a working class community that depends on outside people with higher income patronizing some of our restaurants until we could create more jobs that pays salary. So that's not within the scope of this ordinance. I know. I just share some concern about we're going to react today. Down the line, is this going to impact our restaurant business? Our restaurant business prior to COVID was very robust, as crowded streets and people coming on weekends and all that.
What we have found is that not all restaurants will take advantage of this outside operations. Not all restaurants are conducive to outdoor dining as well. So this will provide for limited opportunities. And what we saw was that outdoor dining in some cases help improve the economic for the business because of the additional ability to have a different atmosphere or experience for the dining public.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have a few questions myself. Are we envisioning this? I'll go first, the patio first, then the food truck. Are we envisioning the patio process? The outdoor food process to be kind of like a attached patio, where you have a predetermined set of plans from the city that will expedite that process? Are we envisioning like that?
Yeah, that is correct. That's the intent.
And if you were to estimate, how long do you think that process would take from a vendor submitting their application to planning all the way down to buildings approval to construct? Typically, would you estimate?
The purpose of the ordinance is to streamline that as much as possible. So our goal is to have you permitted and run up and running within like 2 to 3 months.
Okay. And then, the site plan that you showed with all the possible situation that you can do outdoor dining. The one thing that I'm concerned with is I'm assuming most likely they'll want to set up their patio adjacent to their storefront, but also typically, ADA parking is planned to be the closest point to shorten the path of travel. So is that something that we would consider, that of course they can't, replace that parking?
I think that is correct, Chairman. That's something we will have to analyze on a case-by-case basis through the application process. Obviously, the examples provided are just examples. I mean, there's multiple scenarios that could play out.
And then for tenants or for lots that have multiple tenants and they have a shared parking agreement within that parcel, let's say a tenant has their storefronts abuts the ADA stalls, so they need to use the stalls that are in front of their neighbor. Is that something that they agreed privately before they come to the planning department, or is that the planning department's responsibility to kind of mediate that?
The goal is that hopefully the eating establishments will address that themselves through the property owner. So that's why we're requiring that these applications as well as the plans be pre-approved by the actual property owner, assuming all those measures are already kind of screened and evaluated through the property owner as well as the business establishments.
Okay. So when they come in, there should have been an agreement with the tenants on site so that we're not responsible to mediate, oh, well, you're in front of my store using up my parking, things like that.
Correct.
Okay. And then, a lot of examples you show, there's outdoor lighting. Is that something to consider in terms of, I know that for new developments, you have photometric studies that would kind of affect the surrounding. Is that something that we look at, or are we giving a standard threshold where you can have patio lights and that's it?
No, we are going to be giving the applicant that flexibility as part of the plan check or application process. That will be something that our building and safety division will have to review, as well as our police department.
So assuming we will have like a threshold of X lumens that they'll be able to, right?
That is correct, yes.
And then in terms of, well, this would go towards the food truck where you mentioned food trucks. They need to show proof that there is a bathroom within 500 feet. So that would be an agreement with whoever's providing that bathroom, right?
Correct, and then they will have to show that on the site plan.
Are they responsible for upgrading that bathroom to ADA compliance since they're using it?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So if it's
Assuming it's not compliance with ADA requirements, they will have to upgrade the actual restroom.
so their site plan would need to show a path of travel to the bathroom and then the bathroom itself.
That is correct, yes.
And then, I'm sorry, I just, as your, it was a long presentation, so there was a lot to ask. And another thing is, with the outdoor patio, we're adding occupant load. I know that we're exempting the occupant load from the parking. Are we exempting the occupant load from the plumbing fixture, bathroom counts? Because you are adding more people.
We are not. They will still be subject to the building code requirements.
Okay, so. Okay. And do we imagine there's an overlap between, let's say, that parcel in front of you right now? There are a few tenants that have an outdoor patio, but then the lot is exceeding 10,000 square feet. So there is a food truck as well. Is there a situation where it's too much just overcrowding of a single lot? Maybe it's like a very like high priority lot, high visibility that everyone wants to park their truck there, and then the restaurants want to do outdoor patios.
Yeah, that's definitely something we will have to analyze as part of the application on a case by case basis, on a property by property basis.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good point. We'll have to definitely look into that.
That's it for me. Sounds good. Madam Secretary, do we have any written communication?
We have not received any written communication.
Okay. The public hearing is now open. We'll now take comments from the public. Do we have any members of the public that would like to comment?
If you are attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial *9 and press *6 to unmute yourself. I will wait a few seconds. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to support the ordinance?
So let me ask a question.
Go ahead, Mark.
Just ran past the slide that said financial analysis. Can we go back to that for a second? Do we really believe that no fiscal impact will come from this?
As part of the analysis, we're looking at the impacts that the ordinances itself, the language will have. But yeah, I mean, once in practice, it could have some positive impact. Hopefully.
Hopefully. That's what
The
Mike's gonna-
ordinance
that's what
is
Mike's
just an
gonna do.
amendment. And it is not really, and within the amendment, is just not look at air quality, right? It's just usage, setting the standard for outdoor usage and parking and all that. So in your ordinance, then address the CEQA part, right?
Commissioner Wu has mentioned, the county is the one that oversees the actual measures
right.
for mobile food trucks and the operation. So as part of the permit application for mobile food trucks, they will have to show proof that the county has approved that vehicle.
Was that what you're getting at, Commissioner McLaughlin?
I wasn't looking at actually the air quality or anything like that. I mean, I was just looking at trying to implement a program like this with no fiscal impact. Seems a little bit of a stretch. That's my own perspective.
Commissioner, what our staff has mentioned is that the whole goal of this outdoor dining program and the mobile vending program is to have a positive impact on the economy and local businesses. Mobile vendors, for example, are currently permitted now to be on our street 24 hours a day. So this measure simply look at how at different locations, some of those vehicles may be able to go onto private property and allow the city to have better regulations on their hours of operations, and that they would have minimized impact on your brick and mortar type businesses. Even without this proposed regulations, the mobile vending vehicles can vend on the street today without limitation except for vehicle codes requirement and distance requirements to parks and community facilities. But other than that, that's all regulated under the state requirements as well as the county health permit. So our goal is simply to potentially allow for an organized format to be completed outside of the business hours that will be competing with the whole site. Ideally, in the hours where those businesses are closed, and they would have the ability to be on a private property, allowing the city to have additional regulations on the way they operate.
Well, this would only impact those mobile trucks that want to comply. The outlaw ones that don't want to comply are mobile and they can move around, right?
These are for the ones that wants to locate on private properties. The other mobile vending vehicles, as licensed by the county, have the ability to move around as they move throughout, the city on city streets.
And because of that, the public has no way of identifying the ones that, other than the fixed location, from those that the county approved that can move around.
They all have to display county approved health permit. That's a requirement for the mobile vending vehicles, even the ones on the street.
So that takes into the count of places, the trucks that are out there at lunchtime, lunch truck, breakfast and lunch, and then they go back to Anaheim Park, in the big parking lot with all the other food trucks. So that's included in this too.
This will not create a fixed location as a commissary type situation. They still need to go back to those service facility after servicing on the site in order to clean up, prepare their
Right.
food. And so they still need to go back to the commissary and use the commissary for those purposes and meeting the county health requirements.
At the commissary.
Correct.
So the difference is, like, if I have a business and during lunch hour, I decide to treat my employees with a food truck and have one come, that doesn't fall under because it's just a special event or.
That would be a
one-time.
special event, correct?
Commissioner Ramos, do you have any last comments or questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion if there is a motion.
Yeah, I haven't heard staff presentation. I would be willing to pass the zoning ordinance amendment 2022-04.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wu and a second by Commissioner McLaughlin. Please call roll.
Oh, that's 05, I'm sorry.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Chair Pham.
Aye.
Motion passes by majority vote with Commissioner Alderetti, Commissioner Morrissey, and Vice Chair Calderon absent.
Thank you, Jerry. That concludes the business calendar. Moving on to comments. Are there any staff member comments?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I would just want to do a couple introductions. I want to introduce, first, we have recently joining the city is our Community Development Agency Executive Director, Michael Garcia. Michael, please stand up, take a bow. If you want to say a few words, but Michael has been a longtime resident and he joined the city 2 weeks ago, 3 now.
It's actually been 7 weeks now.
Really?
Yes, yes.
Seems fast.
He was undercover for 3.
Chairman, nice to meet you in person. I actually started in 1993, 29 years ago. When I was working on my master's, I started as an intern in economic development. In 95, I went down to personnel and worked there from 95 to 98. And I'm happy to be back. I met my wife here in the community development department and actually served on city council from 2002 to 2006 and some other city commissions prior to that. And I'm very happy to be a full-time executive director here and I'm at your disposal. So
So all together now, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
Prior to coming here, I was a community development director in Norwalk and in Pico Rivera, an economic development manager, and worked in real estate at LA County Metro for many years. So happy to be back and not driving to LA anymore. So
Thank you. Welcome.
Good to see you back.
And the second announcements in terms of changes is that for many years now, this staff member has been working as part of the city team. He has joined the city for over 12 years now and has moved up the ranks from interns. And I believe he has probably held most every position in the planning division. I'd like to introduce you to Ali Escobar. He is our new planning manager. Ali, if you want to stand up and take a bow, please. Thank you. And with that, we are going dark for the second meeting of November. Since we'll not be meeting before Thanksgiving, I'd like to wish the commissioner all happy Thanksgiving. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And commissioners, do you have any final comments?
Yes, I want to thank our staff up front here for providing us the water and food. Thank you very much, and our parking ticket. Also, I have to compliment you, Executive Director Min, that you're constantly grooming people for promotion. You also hire good people from the outside, bring back people, and it's at all levels. I start seeing that there's a degree of professionalism in how they treat the public. Sometimes the public does not understand that because you're telling them the facts, and then it takes us a while to really understand that's all that it is. You tell us it's not the allowable use there in this zoning and all that. But if you're over here, you didn't tell me you didn't like it because I'm Chinese. You didn't tell me you didn't like it because you didn't want me there, and that you're not willing to send it to the Planning Commission and the council. Just tell me that under the existing uses, this is how it is. And that's how I found in terms of asking questions so that I could do my research with staff, that they answer in a very factual, non-defensive way. And I really appreciate it. And I hope they understand that when I ask a question, I'm just trying to understand all the dynamics of the issue. So I do appreciate that. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your time away if you're going to go away. And we'll get back together when we get back together. The second question is on these conditional use permit. We do a lot of conditional use permit in terms of alcohol usage. I'm hoping that we could also see some conditional use permit that allow us to not modify, but enhance the zoning use in areas, because we have a new generation of businesses that are very creative, that operate businesses that bring in a lot of income, and they think outside the box. I don't know how to accommodate them. I don't know what the issue is, but if we just think in terms of the traditional businesses we have, this new generation may go off to other cities to do that. I'm trying to attract them because I think that's a future job for our young folks, without having to go to 4-year college. In 2 years, they could finish some interactive media and coding, and they could have a very good job where they could buy houses and, you know, all that, and live in our community.
Thank you, Commissioner Wu. Commissioner McLaughlin?
Welcome back, Mike. And also, Ali, congratulations. And have a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. And Commissioner Wu, Commissioner Ramos?
Just welcome to our new staff. Congratulations, Ali, on your promotion, and I hope you all enjoy the break.
Thank you. Ditto for me. I think happy Thanksgiving, or will be happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And I gotta say, I might be biased, but our planning counter and building counter is probably one of the more enjoyable experience I've had around the area. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So this adjourns our meeting. Next regular meetings is on November 28th, 2022. The next regular meeting on November 28th, 2022 will be canceled. So this meeting will be adjourned. Regular meeting on Monday, December 12th at 5:30.